Watch out. It's just a the bad side.
Bad side.
Don't blame God.
You're on candid camera. Yeah, it's glowing, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Philip and Leanne and Mark and Charlotte, I'd like to thank you and welcome you all here today. My name is Margaret Doreen, and even though it is with sadness, I'm also privileged to be taking Joan's service after having known Joan and Jacko for over 47 years. If we talk about the Richmond Villas, what would we say to a stranger? Fabulous units to live in, some really lovely apartments, great people live here, a wonderful heated pool to swim in, a nice venue like this to hold many concerts and activities, and Joan Jackson. Well, it used to be Jacko and Joan until Joan's soulmate Jacko passed away only a few years ago. They were one of the original owners. You're all a family here. And I know her presence is going to be very sadly missed. Jacko had been waiting very patiently for Joan to join him, and on Friday, Joan passed away peacefully, but suddenly with her family by her side. She'd be hoping Jacko would be waiting with a cigarette, because she would have been hanging out for one. The son said if she was conscious, she would have refused to have gone to ED, because she can't smoke here. It was certainly a shock for you all here today to hear of her sudden passing, and I was very privileged to have attended Joan and take her to hospital. I don't want you all to think that if I ever come to the village to take you to hospital that you're all going to end up here in a big group. It doesn't normally happen. Joan was a very proud nana to Stephen, Nathan in Australia, Kimberly and Paul in Christchurch, and great-grand to Alexa, Zaid, Madison, Papa, Judy and Taj. The eulogy today actually comes from Joan. Joan was born on the 19th of February in 1938 to Winifred and Francis Burridge. Joan's earliest memory, and a memory that maybe some of you may have had in World War II, when she was outside watching dogglebugs. Their Anderson shelter door fell in, and they all thought it was the Germans coming. Another time, on April Fool's Day, while she was inside the Morrison shelter, they called their dad and told him there was a rat inside. When he came out of the shelter, he hit his head on a thick iron roof, which was rather low. It looks like the joke backfired. Not sure how their bottoms felt. When the war ended, their street had a party to celebrate. Well, this is a bit strange. Joan was bad-tempered when she was a youngster. And if things didn't go her way, she would run upstairs and throw herself onto a bed and kick the walls. I'm pretty sure that trait carried on through her life, apart from, of course, kicking the walls, but it just did not mess with Joan. Joan and her brother Frank used to do everything together, and she can remember going to the allotments across the road in pinching peas and rhubarb. They used to crawl on their hands and knees and eat as much as they could. She participated in athletics, running, relay, hurdles, high jump and long jump, and gym. She won lots of certificates and medals. Her favourite pastime was going to Alexandra Park roller skating, particularly speed skating. She just loved it. Good job no one gave her a skateboard for around this area. Not surprising, the naughty little trait was still there. She disliked school and was very disruptive. Because she didn't pass the required 11 exams at the school she was attending, she then went on to a secondary modern all-girls school. This was not a good environment, as later on she couldn't get on with boys, and she was very, very shy. This lasted a long time until she'd been working for a while. Her best friends during her school days were Brenda Williamson and Joan Halliday. Joan left school at 15 years of age, and for this couldn't have come soon enough. She began to work as a typist at a benevolent society and later at the Westminster Bank head office. She travelled to work on a tube train where everyone was packed in like sardines. After members of her family went to live in New Zealand, she also decided to immigrate there. When she looked back, she was pretty brave, travelling all alone on the ship, as she was the youngest on board. She spent 6 weeks being sick and getting very sunburnt. The ship arrived at Wellington and she came to Hamilton on an overnight train. On the train, she wondered what she had struck, and it seemed to be full of drunken shearers. At that stage in her life, she had never had any alcoholic drink. She was met at Hamilton by her uncle, and he brought her to Thames to work at the Thames Hospital as a trainee midwife, which unfortunately she never finished. Then life changed. She was there for 3 weeks and was taken on a blind date. His name was Brian, or Joan Jackson, and she never left Thames apart from 2 years at Mandarin. Jacko and Joan were married in 1958. Philip was born during that year, and 22 months later, Mark arrived. Joan said they lived in some pretty awful places, the worst being Riverside House in Paraguay. They lived in an upstairs flat with no facilities and had to go downstairs to the bathroom toilet and wash house, and only allowed a bath twice a week. Washing was permitted twice a week also, and with 2 small children and no disposable nappies those days, life was quite a challenge. Mark was 3 months old when they purchased their home in Tony Ave. And after 3 years they moved onto a farm at Mangaree. When the cows were dry and they were not milking, off they would travel back to Thames for a couple of days. This lasted for 2 years and they then shifted back to Thames, at last feeling like they were home. Joan saved hard and took the boys to England for 6 weeks. Her parents paid for the boys, and in hindsight she wishes they had taken out a loan, so Jacko could have gone to meet her father. Unfortunately, she had a bad experience on a plane once, when an engine leaked oil and the pilot had to shut it off. She spent 24 hours in Bahrain, and she thinks this is when she got her fear of flying. She went again in 1979 with Jacko and also to LA, Disneyland and Singapore. By that time they had both stopped smoking, but while they were there, the Air New Zealand plane crashed in Erebus. She was so scared that she began smoking again. She thinks she chain smoked all the way home on the plane. She was so pleased to get safely back to New Zealand that she cried. I remember sitting in the non-smoking areas of the plane and all the smokers were at the back, but it didn't seem to make much difference. You still got the cigarette smoke. Joan worked as a cleaner for Tower Homes, the Junction Hotel, and then at the Thames Hospital, eventually working as receptionist on the ward, a position that she held for 20 years. Joan had a great life with Jacko, much better than if she'd stayed in England. She was a loyal rugby Hui supporter to Jacko. Though Those of you who haven't heard of the Huemai rugby team, well, they were the best team around. Better than North, Old Boys, or United. The fact that I was a Huemai wife myself doesn't influence my comments at all. I'd like to invite Leanne to come up to say this.
A mother's love. A mother's love is something that no one can explain. It's made of deep devotion, sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may. For nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaken. It never fails or falters even though the heart is breaking. It believes beyond believing when the whole world round condemns, and it glows with all the beauty of the rarest, brightest gems. It is far beyond defining, it defies all explanation, and it still remains a secret like the mysteries of creation. A many splendid miracle man cannot understand, and another wondrous evidence of God's tender guiding hand. Our mother's love was unconditional. We are who we are because of her love. We're all blessed to be our mother's children. Thank you,
As you know, Joan loved her cigarettes. She always paid cash for them. Jacko never ever bothered to look at bank statements. But one day, Joan went to get her cigarettes and she didn't have the cash with her. Oh dear. She had to put on her FPOS card. But that's okay. Jacko doesn't look at bank statements. The very one occasion that Jacko just happened to look at the bank statement, he was horrified to see just how much a packet of cigarettes was. So his response, I want to raise my own allowance now. Philip and Mark's friends became part of the family. Jacko and Joan always welcomed them into their home. But they didn't really think that it would be taken too literally. One day, well, night time, they'd actually in bed, probably exhausted, fast asleep. Wayne Crook was playing with the Huemai juniors, decided to jump through Jacko and Joan's bedroom window, jump on their bed to wake them up, and say, let's have a party. On the odd occasion he got away with it, but other times he was given a quick exit. Also posting, another good friend, obviously thought Joan was up to any prank. He came around home one day and said, oh, where's Joan? The answer was, oh, she's having a bath. Well, I guess Posty hadn't been taught the word respect in those days. No, he snuck into the bathroom and threw a bucket of cold water over Joan. She never used to swear that much, but this time the words are censored, so I guess she was pretty angry. I'm sure he ran out of the house pretty fast. I'd like to invite now family or anybody, anyone on the floor, if you'd like to come up and just share a few words and memories, your memories of Joan.
No takers. I'll tell you what, I probably knew her as well as anyone.
How about if I hold that?
Well, you won't be able, I can just point this at the crowd while I talk. Hello over there. I was reflecting as we came down from Auckland this morning. It's more than 60 years since I met Joan. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jacko's sister's husband. Those of you know Val passed away about 16 months ago, so it's been a bit of a rough time. Joan, first memories of Joan, Well, she was Joan. She was quite unique, a lot of fun, and the most tolerant woman I think I've ever come across. Some of the get-togethers were legendary. There's no question, and I must admit, when I first arrived in Thames, Jacko was the protective brother. Anyone that wanted to spend time with his sister had to be thoroughly vetted. And I think Joan was number 2 in terms of the vetting. I must have passed because I never got kicked out of town, and I have very many fond memories of time spent with both Joan and Jacko. And I hope I'm not the only person that's going to get up here and reflect on times past. But if there's anyone else out there who would like to say something, please come forward now. Thanks.
Okay, it's not always easy to get up, hold a microphone and talk to everybody.
No, it's not.
But I'm sure the family would love to have a chat to you afterwards. So we're going to have a cup of tea a little bit later on, and then the family will take Joan up to be reunited once again with Jacko, and anyone else who would like to go up with them, you're more than welcome. So that will be happening a little bit later on. One thing Joan can certainly say is Joan's life certainly was well lived. Isn't this beautiful? Joan picked this out herself. Lovingly and with appreciation, it's now time to say goodbye to the presence of Joan in our lives. We all have our time on this earth, loving, laughing and living. And then it's time to leave. It's a natural part of the circle of life. We're grateful for Joan's long and happy life, and for all that her life has meant to us. Joan's earthly body has been returned to the elements, but her memory will bring peace to our hearts and strengthen us in times of grief as we learn to live our lives without her. Joan, you now set your spirit free in the knowledge that you will always be remembered. While your spirit is now free, may the memories we'll have of you remain in our lives forever. May the angels now take you by the hand. May the stars light your way. May the sun shine on you and bathe you in light as your soul continues its eternal journey. Love doesn't end with dying or leave with your last breath. For someone that you have loved dearly, love goes on forever. May you now go in peace, and may you always rest in peace.
Morning or afternoon tea. it's ready for you to partake now. So, but it is in next door. The caterer set it all up next door there, so she didn't interrupt the ceremony. So just go out to there when you're ready. Thank you.
Someone had to do it. That's a good spread.
Savoury and sausage roll.
Yes, Meg Miller. Oh, that's So I caught up with her recently somewhere. I might be doing Meals on Wheels. I remember, such a long time since her mother-in-law was lived in the village, wasn't it?
Someone's going to go in here.
Somebody, she was a miller anyway.
I don't know that one. Don't they? They're so innocent. Whoa. That's quite a big hole, isn't it? Bloody hell, they dug it deep.
They do.
You have to get on your hands and knees to get down far enough.
Bye bye, Mum.
There you go. You're with Dad now.
Yeah.
Joni?
Thanks, Joni, for everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for being a good sister-in-law and a lovely friend. And just say goodbye. No
Rest in
tears.
peace, sweetie.
Rest in peace.
Your pants.
No,
Can't get out of there.
Can't get out of there.
Hope not.
Nice and safe in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, Joni.
Is that all right, Blake?
You'll be a great mum-in-law.
Doesn't matter.
I miss your giggle.
And this is here.
Yeah, just don't
Yeah,
stand
just be careful. You don't want to go in the hole too.
Yeah.
I'm not too.
Bloody hand.
You're gonna do that. People can.
You're going to sit them on top.
Oh,
Sweetheart. Yeah, we're going to sit them on top.
You're going to sit the flowers on top?
top.
Oh, for lump one in for one of these ones. Anyone?
Wheelbarrow. You could also shovel in.
Well,
Oh, hang on.
Good night. See ya. Yeah. Anybody else? You have to do the rest, sorry mate. Anybody else?
Stephen, give your grandma the smoke.
Yeah.
I'll say this, a couple of weeks ago I thought she was sneaking smokes from Dad as well. She's like, can you go down the shop and get me some smokes, boy?
Give her that one.
oh, okay.
Win with it.
Okay.
I didn't buy it
Who's it?
either. She couldn't quite smoke them.
Okay.
So you gave her one.
Give her a bit of root. Give her a bit of root. She got two. Two roots.
Yeah. Look, couldn't get over her.
I know. What are you doing?
My Snickers look like this, mother.
Yeah.